What's the matter now?
How do they walk in these things, huh? How do they keep their balance?
It must be the way the weight is distributed now. Come on.
It is so drafty. They must be catching cold all the time, huh?
Will you quit stalling? We're going to miss the train.
I feel naked. I feel like everybody's staring at me.
With those legs, are you crazy? Now, come on.
Some Like It Hot is a classic 1959 comedy film directed by Billy Wilder that would receive 6 Academy Award nominations and become one of the most iconic comedy films in film history. Taking place in February 1929 in Prohibition-era Chicago, a jazz saxophone player and irresponsible ladies' man named Joe, played by Tony Curtis, and his more anxious friend, jazz double bass player Jerry, played by Jack Lemmon, are working in a speakeasy owned by a Chicago gangster named Spats Colombo, played by actor George Raft. After the police are tipped off by an informant named Toothpick Charlie, played by George E. Stone, Spats and his henchmen kill Toothpick as well as the rest of the gang inside a parking garage in a fictionalized version of the St. Valentine's Day Massacre.
We didn't see anything, did we?
What? No, nothing.
No.
See? And besides, it's none of our business if you guys want to bump each other off. We don't...
Joe and Jerry accidentally witness the event and are pursued by Spats and his gang. Desperate to get out of Chicago, Joe and Jerry disguise themselves as women named Josephine and Daphne so that they can join an all-female band aboard a train headed to Miami, Florida.
Well, here we are.
Are you two from the Polyakov Agency?
Yes, we're the new girls.
Brand new.
This is our manager, Mr. Beanstalk.
How do you do?
And I'm Sweet Sue.
My name is Josephine.
I'm Daphne.
Mm-hmm.
The band leader Sweet Sue, played by Joan Shawley, accepts the two women, and they meet the band's vocalist and ukulele player Sugar Cane Kowalczyk, a sexy Polish girl from Sandusky, Ohio, played by Marilyn Monroe.
I'm terribly sorry.
It's okay, I was scared it was Sweet Sue. You won't tell anybody, will you?
When Sugar confides to Josephine that she hopes to find a gentle millionaire who wears glasses, Joe decides to assume a second disguise as a millionaire named Junior, the heir to the Shell Oil Company.
You know, it's amazing we never ran into each other before. I'm sure I would have remembered anybody as attractive as you are.
You're very kind. I'll bet you're also gentle and helpless.
I beg your pardon.
You see, I have this theory about men who wear glasses.
What theory?
I'll tell you when I get to know you better. What are you doing tonight?
In the meantime, an actual millionaire named Osgood Fielding III, played by Joey Brown, aggressively pursues Daphne.
So this year, when the George White scandal's opened, she packed me off to Florida. Right now, she thinks I'm out there on my yacht. Deep sea fishing.
Well, pull in your reel, Mr. Fielding. You're barking up the wrong fish.
Joe persuades Jerry to get Osgood off his yacht so that he can pretend his Shell Oil tycoon persona owns it, thus being able to score with Sugar Kowalczyk.
If I wasn't such a coward, I'd kill myself.
Don't say that. There must be some girl someplace that could.
If I ever found a girl that could, I'd marry her just like that.
Would you do me a favor?
Certainly. What is it?
I may not be Dr. Freud or a male brother or one of those French upstairs girls, but could I take another crack at it?
All right, if you insist.
After getting Osgood away from the yacht and dancing the tango all night, Jerry temporarily loses his marbles, announcing to Joe that Osgood has proposed marriage to Daphne and that he has accepted, anticipating an instant divorce and huge cash settlement.
Osgood proposed to me. We're planning a June wedding.
Jerry, you can't be serious.
Why not? He keeps marrying girls all the time.
But you're not a girl, you're a guy. And why would a guy want to marry a guy?
Security.
Jerry, you better lie down. You're not well.
Now, this movie was directed by Billy Wilder, and it was inspired by a 1935 French comedy film, Fanfare d'amour, or Fanfare of Love. Despite taking place in Illinois and Florida, the movie was filmed in California between August and November of 1958. Actress Mitzi Gaynor was standing by in the event that Marilyn Monroe became unavailable to film this movie. Frank Sinatra missed the opportunity to play Jerry when he didn't show up for a lunch date with Billy Wilder. Tony Curtis was signed on first, but United Artists pressured Billy Wilder to cast a bigger box office name than Jack Lemmon for the second male lead. But once Marilyn Monroe signed on, Wilder was able to cast Jack Lemmon, who at that time was not yet as large a star as he would later become. Danny Kaye was considered for the role of Jerry, or Daphne, and Jerry Lewis was offered the role but declined because he didn't want to dress in drag. When Jack Lemmon received an Oscar nomination for this role, Jerry Lewis said he regretted not taking part in this film. Tony Curtis asked Billy Wilder if he could imitate Cary Grant for the persona of the millionaire oil tycoon. Wilder liked the idea and they shot it that way. Apparently, Cary Grant saw the parody of himself and jokingly said, "I don't talk like that."
Oh, well, I guess some like it hard. I personally prefer classical music.
Stories of the difficulty that cast and crew had with Marilyn Monroe during the making of this film are almost to mythical proportions. In the farewell telephone conversation between Marilyn Monroe and Tony Curtis, her side-to-side eye movements clearly reveal that she was reading directly from an off-screen blackboard. According to Tony Curtis, Marilyn Monroe was routinely 2 to 3 hours late to the set and occasionally refused to leave her dressing room. Tony Curtis said he hated that his own performance deteriorated over the 30 or more takes that he often had to do just to get one good scene out of Marilyn Monroe. Referring to Marilyn Monroe, director Billy Wilder once said, "We were in mid-flight and there was a nut on the plane. Marilyn Monroe caused so much disruption to filming and so much stress that he had to take suppository sedatives in his asshole just to get some sleep." After the shooting was completed, Billy Wilder threw a celebration dinner at his home for cast members and friends. Marilyn Monroe was not invited. When Billy Wilder was asked if he'd ever work with Marilyn Monroe again, he said that his doctor and his psychiatrist told him he was too old and too rich to ever have to go through that again. Eventually, Billy Wilder calmed down and said that it takes a real artist to come onto the set, not know her lines, yet give the performance that she gave in this film. Jack Lemmon got along very well with Marilyn Monroe and forgave all of her eccentricities. He said he believed that she brought more talent to the screen than almost anybody he knew.
Maybe I better stay here till she goes back to sleep.
You stay here as long as you like.
I'm not crowding you, am I?
No, it's nice and cozy.
When I was a little girl on cold nights like this, I used to crawl into bed with my sister. We'd cuddle up under the covers and pretend we were lost in a dark cave and were trying to find our way out.
That's very interesting.
Marilyn Monroe was pregnant during filming, and as a result, her breasts and her body looked considerably heavier than in most other films. She had several miscarriages in her life. Due to her pregnancy, most of the publicity photos with Jack Lemmon and Tony Curtis were actually posed for by Sandra Warner and Monroe's frequent stand-in, Evelyn Moriarty. Some of the images just superimposed Marilyn's head on one of those women's bodies. Years after the film's release, a movie reviewer asked Tony Curtis why his Josephine was so much more feminine than Jack Lemmon's disgustingly ugly Daphne.
Billy hired the world's foremost female impersonator and had him come over to work with Tony and me for a few days. And at the second day, he went to Wilder and said, "I quit." He said, "Curtis is perfect." He said, "Lemmon is impossible. I would recast."
Tony Curtis explained that he was so scared to be playing a woman, or a man pretending to be a woman, that his tightly wound body language could be read as shy and feminine.
And from my recollection, I don't remember any more beautiful girl that was a guy than me.
while Jack Lemmon was completely unbothered and ran out of the dressing room ready to go and kept much more of his masculine body language.
Dirty old man.
What happened?
I just got pinched in the elevator.
Well, now you know how the other half lives.
Look at that. I'm not even pretty.
They don't care, just so long as you're wearing a skirt.
A male cabaret dancer named Barbette was brought in to teach Tony Curtis and Jack Lemmon how to walk in heels. But shortly thereafter, Jack Lemmon declined the guy's help, saying, "I don't want to walk like a woman, I want to walk like a man who's trying to walk like a woman." Marilyn Monroe wanted this film to be shot in color. Her contract stipulated that all of her films were supposed to be in color, but Billy Wilder convinced her to let it be shot in black and white when costume tests revealed that the makeup Tony Curtis and Jack Lemmon wore gave their faces a green tinge. Jack Lemmon wrote that the first sneak preview had a very bad reaction, and many audience members walked out. Billy Wilder refused to change anything. He said, "This is a very funny movie. Maybe this is just the wrong neighborhood." The next preview, the audience stood up and cheered. In fact, a preview audience laughed so hard after Daphne's announcement of her engagement to Osgood that a lot of the dialogue would be missed. So they reshot it with pauses and the maraca gimmick to allow time for the audience to laugh and not miss any lines. Upon its release in March 1959, Some Like It Hot grossed over $8.1 million, making it among the top grossing films of the year in the United States. In the year 2017, Some Like It Hot was voted the best comedy film of all time in a BBC poll of 253 film critics from 52 different countries. In 1989, the film was selected as one of the first of 25 movies to be added to the National Film Registry by the United States Library of Congress for being culturally, historically, or aesthetically significant to American history.
Yes, I know why you want to stay here. You're after sugar.
Me after sugar?
I saw you, the both of you, in that bus all lovey-dovey and whispering and giggling and borrowing each other's lipstick. I saw you.
What are you talking about? Me and
You
sugar?
and sugar.
We're just like sisters.
Well, I'm your fairy godmother.
This movie is an iconic classic, and it is frequently cited as Marilyn Monroe's best comedy film role. I enjoy it from time to time, and I highly recommend that you watch Some Like It Hot.